Hello, this is Juniper of Solavie Studio, and welcome to my backyard. The other day I brought out my drum carder, and I had the intention of carding, but it's kind of loud. And when I'm working with the fibers, I need to have a little bit more focus than trying to talk to my camera and card at the same time. But I brought out a bowl of the alpaca fiber, the Shetland wool fiber in black and dark brown, and this already carded roving of Shetland, which is the warmest brown I've seen Shetland wool in. So I was pretty excited because this alpaca is pretty red brown. But the transformation is the combination of all of these different elements and putting them together transform them into something completely different. The color palette of these three separately combined, oh, terrible lighting, into this, which when I spin it, it will combine even further. Like now you can still see more reddish areas and cooler brown areas, but when it's spun and plied, so I'm going to spin it and then add individual strands together to make a bigger strand. When it's plied, then it will change the color and make it even more uniform. But that process, like I had mentioned in the other video, I haven't really worked on it very much in the greater part of a year. And because I hit the point of the rhythm of the project where it was like, oh, and I just needed to step aside. I'd been pushing and pushing and pushing to do the carding, and the carder, I didn't show you very well, but the first roller wheel is basically filled with razor blades. And so I had, unfortunately, been hasty and pricked myself a number of times, so my index fingers were quite bloodied and tender from working with it. And I was just at the point where I was done. So in manifesting this sweater, I ran into a roadblock of just like, oh. And to be quite honest, the carding part is my least favorite part of the whole process. But because I know myself, when I get to the spinning part, because the basket right now is mostly full, and I'm only halfway through the carding, maybe a little bit more than halfway. But I will reach a point where I'm just like tired of spinning because it tweaks my shoulder a little bit. It dries out my fingers. So then they start snagging on the fibers, and then it has this funny, I don't know, a funny feeling that I don't particularly enjoy. So in the spinning process, I will also hit a wall where I'm just like, oh, I'm done. And again, in the knitting process, I know myself, and I will hit a wall. I've picked out this really intricate and beautiful sweater pattern, but the design on the back it's so pretty. But I know, because I know myself, that I will be knitting sometime when I'm tired, and I will make a mistake in the pattern, and then I'll go back and forth of, oh, just leave it, nothing is supposed to be absolutely perfect. But then my perfectionism side will say, oh, well, you really have to go redo it. And so then, I'll go back and forth. So each step of manifesting something for me always has this part that comes up that's not my favorite. But pushing through, perseverance is very, very necessary component of life in general, excuse me, and of completing this project. So the rhythm of the project, there's always going to be, whether it's autumn or winter or spring or summer, there's always, in the winter there's days that are so cold and you're snowed in and the roads are dangerous and it's just not working out. In the springtime, it's in my area, it's just like pouring rain, blowing wind, branches are falling, etc., etc. In the summertime, there's days where it's just too hot, so you're not comfortable. In the autumn, it's the downpour, the angle of the sun, just blinding you while you drive, making you feel uncomfortable. There's always things that are coming up in the rhythm of whatever you're doing that make it challenging, that may be discouraging, that may be a temptation to set you back. And every time I have a knitting project, or every autumn, the knitting projects are usually different in some way, even if I'm using the same pattern. Like, I've used the same sock pattern numerous times, but I'm using different colors, or I'm using a different yarn, or I'm using something different. Same with this coming autumn. Autumn is autumn. I kind of generally can predict that I need to bring layers because it may be windy, it may be rainy, it may be hot, and it may be cool. Don't know. But it's always generally the same as every autumn. In autumn, temperatures drop, rains come back, it's time to, any herbs in your garden or whatever that are, or they're perennials, so they're just gonna, like my comfrey. If I don't harvest my comfrey, the frost will kill it and it will be unusable. So I can harvest it in the autumn when the leaves are, oh my goodness, they're beautiful right now, and make some, dry it out and make some good salves out of it, or I can let it go to waste. My choice, depending on what I want to manifest in my life. But part of the manifestation process is, and with rhythm, in accordance to rhythm, is having the passive planning periods and the active periods of doing progress. So it reminded me of, lately I've been attending a lot of soccer games because my daughter's in soccer. And like I had said before, the weather changes are really unpredictable. Like the other day at the soccer game, we're just sitting there. It was pretty warm. The sun was out. I was holding my coat because I didn't need to wear it. But then all of a sudden it started raining. But the air wasn't cold and the rain shower was like 2 minutes or something, so I didn't even bother. And it wasn't very heavy, so I didn't even bother putting on my jacket. But if I hadn't done a daily rhythm as far as, oh, I'm going to a soccer game. So this would be the passive aspect of rhythm. I'm going to a soccer game. What do I need? Like planning. Because if I choose to wear a sundress, I would be uncomfortable. I would be cold. Probably make me grumpy. I just want to leave the whole game. I would just be like, when can I leave? When can I get out of here? I have to go. And I wouldn't be present. I wouldn't be enjoying the good plays on the field, or, the excitement of, oh my goodness, they just scored a goal, or wow, that was a really great shot. That was a really great attempt, or whatever. So I wouldn't be present. I wouldn't enjoy the moment. I wouldn't be able to, if I hadn't had that passive aspect of the rhythm of my day and planned to bring layers, to make sure the umbrella's at least in the car, that sort of thing, then the active part isn't gonna be very fun because I wouldn't be present. Like, Oh, what is a good example of that? So the passive part of the rhythm cycle, it offers a time to calculate, to plan, and prepare, which is back to the soccer game. If I didn't plan on bringing a jacket, if I didn't plan on having an umbrella, bottle of water, something to drink, maybe a snack in case people got hungry or whatever, then I would just spend my time reacting to the situation instead of calculating, planning, and preparing, which is part of the rhythm of the day, of the year, of projects. If I didn't plan and prepare and, okay, well, if it starts raining, plan B is I have an umbrella. If we get hungry, plan B is I have water, and that sort of thing. And then plan C would be I could go sit in my car, so just have alternate routes that can be taken. Or if I got sick of carting at this point, I could start spinning. And I have enough to fill up a couple bobbins, and then I could start plying. So I could break it up in that kind of aspect as well. And that's all part of planning. So in the rhythm, there's the active and the passive phases. And the passive phases are good for calculating, planning, that sort of thing. And the active phases are also important, because if you just spend all of your time thinking about things and never really doing anything, then, like I said earlier, if I had done all of the planning and gathering of the materials to make this roving, but then never made the roving, it's kind of a waste. So I'd spend all my time being passive about it and not actually making this roving. And if I never made the roving, then I could never spin it. And if I could never spin it, then I could never knit it. And if I could never knit it, then I could never wear it. Could never have that cozy, sit on the couch and grab a good book and a nice cup of herbal tea moment, where you're just like snuggled up and so cozy. Or, the original plan of having my go-to travel sweater that matches the capsule wardrobe that I pack in my suitcase. So the manifesting process will definitely always have bumps in the road, but there's a rhythm to it, both the active and the passive. All right, blessings on your day.